presentation on dog sanctuary management. Thank you. The first organization is Best Friends Animal Society, LA. They have multiple locations, but I chose the one specifically in LA. It was founded in 1984 by a group of friends who wanted to envision where shelters had no kill policy. It is estimated about 17 million pets are killed every year in shelters. Best Friends is the face of the no kill movement. The main headquarters of the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary can be found in Utah. It is the largest no kill shelter. They have a range of over 1,500 animals in their care, from dogs, cats, and farm animals. Other organizations, shelters are located in New York City, Salt Lake City, Houston, northwestern Arkansas. The location in LA was founded in the 1990s by co-founders Francis and Sylvia Batista. These founders help connect with celebrities and help boost the image of Best Friends and made it more approach in the mainstream media, especially when there were celebrity endorsements and more faces, popular faces to the name. My next organization I did was Golden Years Dog Sanctuary. It was established in 1999 by Susan, who saw overcrowded shelters and saw that the older dogs were rarely adopted and often euthanized, and it made her push to create her own um, organization. The sanctuary is located in King County, um, in the base of Angeles National Forest. Originally, um, the location has 11 acres, but the dogs can roam freely within the half acre, and each dog has their own kennel and can either be inside or outside the kennel. And it usually has heating or air conditioning and custom built beds. They usually are around other senior dogs. And Susan, if she has to move dogs into their own gated kennel, she would make sure that the dogs can be freely and live together with each other. And initially, Susan was the only full time caregiver, but she had to add other two part time employees to manage the day to day operations, and especially due to their age, medical needs, the low adoption demand of these dogs, that the model of a sanctuary only was developed and pushed for a more home-like environment. Starting with the public document and media research summary, looking at Best Friends, their mission, no kill by 2025 tab is easily recognized within the first thing you see on the website. You can see data and map data from video, like if you don't want to read all the documents or all the research, easily watch the video they have. And options for in the end of all the resource, they have options to help um, push their mission. And in the bottom of each page, um, there it's all in the bottom. They provide programs from spay and neuter services and pet care, like how can you take care of your pet responsibly, especially with adopting a new pet under their care under the organization. You have information before you adopt a pet. And then they have a specifically kitten care program, especially adopting a small kitten newborn. There's extra information about that. If you need help or need extra resources, you can find it there. And there's a pet food pantry, especially when dog food gets expensive or cat food gets expensive. They have options for you to get food under their organization. And then a large portion is volunteers. You can find information about volunteering in your organization from online care, like you can do stuff for them online, or you can go in person. They have very detailed information about that, how you start training, and how you what to expect to be a volunteer. They have a lot of information about that, and depending on your age and what you know, they have specific programs options for you to look through. And then finally, adoptions. One of the options of adopting, like how are the steps and how it works under them and what can you expect. And and looking at other things you can find on their website is the events coming up or what happened this year. And on the far right, you can see an event. It was like the largest event that they do, the super adoption, and it would happen November 1st and 2nd. And then next, another big option they see throughout the page everywhere you go is the donation option. Is how much money you can provide, or if you have the option to donate, or another option they have is to buy something off your shop, and they have other detailed information about their finance. Specifically, when looking at your finance, they have the same transparency, accountability, and trust. These have IRS forms, annual report, finance statements. You can find all of these three documents all the way from 2017 to last year's financial information. Another important piece of the website is press release and other things they can find that what's happening in the organization, especially when large things are happening within the organization, not just LA but like other locations. You can find new things they're adding or not adding or changing. And another important piece of their website is the social media. They have a wide range of social medias from Facebook, X, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube from TikTok. And each account has over like 10,000. Their Facebook has a million subscribers to their page, and many many people are aware of what they do on social media and over because of their large fan base. Next, moving on to Golden Years Dog Sanctuary. Their website is very simple. On their main page, you can find information about them and their mission, where they're located, their history, and information about their founder. Other parts of their website is programs from fostering, adopting, and volunteering. Those are the three main things they do. And another thing about their financial information, not really you can find anything about that, but other websites will have particularly the financial information. And another part of their organization, the website organization, is their social media. One large part of their organization social media is their Facebook. There's constant updates and information happening in your sanctuary. New dogs coming in, about lost pets, or if there's anyone that can foster a dog. And they have they have 10,000 subscribers to their page. And another big part of social media is included Instagram, usually random stories, information. Um, they have the same like social media, but like they have more events and day-to-day operations happening. And another big part is Yelp and YouTube. It's not really as content updated, but it gives you more information and what you can see on the sanctuary. And looking to the right, you can see holiday fundraiser that was happening December 13th. This is usually for the community to understand and go up to see the sanctuary and what they can do as the community to help fund or volunteer for the organization and get more eyes on the sanctuary. For this section, I interviewed Ana Pulido, the community engagement manager at Best Friends. She provided more insight on how they work and how they push their mission through events and through other organizations by providing more grants, more information and support. Um, they either through other shelters or specifically throughout the community, informing those how they can get involved or what can they change. And another part of her duties is making sure that volunteers and your staff members are aware of the new changes that are happening in the organization. And, and while volunteering, I was able to shadow and have information on what Miss Kennedy does. She's a part of the marketing team. I was specifically there to inform the public in Pasadena that we were at a farmers market to inform many people about the large adoption event they have annually. And Miss Kennedy gains insight how she works with her team and go around LA specifically from locations around the event to inform the public that these events are happening, especially large events that could have a big impact and a good impact on dogs and their sanctuary, making sure that the public is informed and not just having these events and having no one involved. Looking at Golden Years Dog Sanctuary, I interviewed Susan. She revealed many challenges faced by her small nonprofit for senior dogs. Susan manages nearly all daily tasks herself with minimal support from her part-time workers. She does everything from working on grants, trying to connect with her volunteers, and manages the repairs from the dogs to her own job at the farm. And she mainly does all the work for volunteering and making sure they're trained before they start working with dogs. Um, with my high medical costs and low adoption rates makes the operation very difficult and limited community support. Absence strain with little eyes on their organization does not really many volunteers willing to help. When she expresses that volunteers are essential, but with low grants and donations in small events, it's not enough to help her expand. She also expressed she had little help from board members. Um, Susan shoulders all the responsibilities, but remains hopeful. She hopes that once the board starts helping her and pushing changes, she thinks that the sanctuary will help grow and to help more dogs. She usually has 20 dogs, 20 to 30 dogs in her care, but she hopes to expand it because her property, her land is expandable to 11 acres, and she hopes that once she picks up the land, she can add more volunteers and not and slowly add more staff to the organization. Looking at the SWOT analysis for Best Friends, their strength is their financial foundation. They get a wide variety of donations Um, Anna expressed that many of their money, especially large, comes from private donors, and it can range from millions to thousands. And that's what popularity gets you. Many faces on you, so many whales and large donations from different private to public donations. Another strength they have is a strong, consistent volunteer program. Um, it's reported that they get 500,000 volunteer hours across 12 programs in 2024. It didn't specifically say just which shelters, but I think it's across all shelters under their organization. And some weaknesses is their no-kill goal. Many people say it could be unrealistic or further strain to on smaller shelters and their operations. This means that more dogs are going to be in like in shelters rather than in homes, or sick animals are going to be put down. The organization relies heavily on donations, and this means that the the person who's donating the money can add something to their donation, like specifically just for cats or just for dogs, that would be less flexible for them to make sure that the money has been put into what's needed rather than what the donor wants. And especially when it accounting for half of the revenue, this makes it sometimes limited for them to use their money wisely. Some opportunities they could do is expand their mobile spay and neuter program and transportation services. In 2024, they launched a mobile spay and neuter clinic, resulting in 8,000 teachers on Navajo Nation. From January to September, there's potentially programs to help other small communities as well, especially in Native American land. There's not really much access to get to them, and there's many animals in the streets that are not able to get the appropriate medical care, and this will also expand their population and using like mobile resources in that limited small community. Um, they are able to help them and concentrate on what services they need rather than pushing on more animals that need services. Another thing they could expand on is their network of shelter partners and training staff to become shelter partners. They offer multiple training opportunities that could enable the network to expand and include more shelters and rescues. They have a variety of training programs, and with volunteers that can get those training within Best Friends, they can also expand their shelters and use those information that they learn under the organization to help smaller organizations that don't have enough information and training to provide to those volunteers. And some threats is that dogs coming to shelters can keep rising. There was a 11% increase in the number of animals entering Los Angeles city shelters in the first 9 months of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023. As we see, with no full shelters, that the dog population, animal population will increase in shelters, especially during difficult times. As we see, more dogs are being let go due to their owners leaving the country, or there's like apartments that don't allow animals, and this can prevent dogs from finding a home. Another thing is not promoting other important factors such as neutering and medical expenses, and factors that prevent people from adopting. As I said, that the people that don't know where like stop themselves from adopting is because these expenses, especially medical expenses, keep rising, and this could lead to more people um, to think about their expenses, especially during difficult times. more dogs are not being adopted, these things could also be more expensive. Looking at Golden Year Dog Sanctuary, their strains is the founder and website has highlighted their mission to rescue senior dogs. You usually don't see that with other shelters. These this organization just focuses on senior dogs. And unlike what typical shelters look like, they provide a home style, low stress environment that improves the quality of life of senior dogs. Um, while looking around, each dog has their own space and dog bed, and an area that was created by the founder. And some weaknesses that the founder highlighted the high cost of medical and long-term care for each dog. This can mean that a dog have certain medical reasons and certain medical threats to themselves, and senior pet cares often require treatments like arthritis therapy, heart irritation, dental surgery, resulting into thousands of dollars in fees. And compared to larger animal welfare nonprofits, this organization is less publicly visible, and having a small number and being located in a remote area limits public awareness to the organization. Not many eyes are on them. And looking at the less volunteers, less grants, less donations to them. But some opportunities that I see is as I was speaking with the founder, she explained how there's an opportunity to partner up with veterinarians and other shelters in order to get their needs or resources from them with simple trades. Like she said, um, one dog might need dental care, and with that, if they need help, she finds a foster home for the dogs that come in homeless or are not have do not have any um, do not have any owners. Um, and due to the fact that they're relatively new and small, the organization they can adjust themselves and change the board it needs to be to overcome those obstacles as they grow. Especially being small, they could change or add a new board member that can help push them out of the small um, zone and push them into the public eye. And some threats I saw is there is a possibility that the economic situation could have impact on donations and volunteer availability to the sanctuary due to the increase of cost of living. Times are not as great, and more people are limited what they can spend. And as things cost rises, and with the limited volunteers they have, those volunteers could push more into working rather than being on the sanctuary. Another thing I found is without board support, the founder said that there will be no big changes or growth opportunities for the organization. A lack of resources and strategic direction on the board can prevent innovation and limited the organization's ability to adapt to the sector. Um, Organizations like these could be quickly pushed out of the public eye. Moving on to the comparative analysis, the similarities of the two organizations focus on improving the quality of life for dogs, providing medical care and socialization behavior support. They really push on their volunteers and their space to make sure that dogs and their cats have a space where they can have a relief, especially when there's a lot of mental risk for them in the shelters. As a member of Best Friends Network, um, Golden Years Dog Sanctuary collaborates with Best Friends Animal Society to achieve a no-kill community with actually working with each other. And they have seen that as Best Friends provides grants and opportunities for adults to be adopted, to work with each other, and also to cover medical costs, increase facilities, and rural programs. Both require ongoing fundraising and public awareness, as um, these two organizations are different, but both need the ongoing fundraising and public awareness to keep going and have that community support. And some differences is that Golden Years Dog Sanctuary is a small and local sanctuary with limited staff and resources, while Best Friends Animal Society is a larger, especially with other organizations across the country. Is well resourced and a national organization. Um, GYDS is focused on long-term care for senior dogs and doesn't actively place dogs for adoption. Well, if she sees that the dogs have like years left, especially not really quite senior, she tries to give them have the opportunity for adoption. And Best Friends Animal Society actively places dogs for adoption. They run adoption programs, small or large, to make sure that the dogs are placed on the public eye to be adopted. And a big difference is that the GYDS is 11 acres of sanctuary and farm that provides limited, high quality care, home like environment for dogs that can't be adopted. And in LA specifically, the location in LA is smaller than like a typical shelter. These are two very big differences with each sanctuary. For best practices, Best Friends Animal Society really stands out for its structured volunteer engagement. They make sure that each volunteer has an understanding what they do and what their limits are, and has a role for each volunteer. Strong community partnerships. They work with shelters, local shelters, and the city to provide care and grants and extra services that they needed. And data-driven decisions. They make sure they have the appropriate data to make sure that their programs are up to date or need extra money to do those decisions. Clear training, defining roles, and regular communication keeps volunteers effective. Each volunteer can see what's available for them to see what they can do and what they need training to do, and provide clear understanding for them to have the responsibilities of what they want to do, especially in their shelter. They partner with local shelters and agencies to reduce information and track data to adjust operations. Like I said, they work with not just other shelters but with with the cities, and to provide their resources or what they need to make sure the no condition is still growing. Fundraising is robust, using campaigns, grants, and online donors to support programs. They not only can you go to the shelter and like donate your time, but you can also donate your money within them or online, so everyone can participate and fundraise. The No Kill um, mission unites staff and volunteers around share goals, making Best Friends a model for large animal rescues. The organization is very big, very popular, especially with the amount of public eyes on them. They need to provide data and information about what they're doing. Best practices with Golden Year Dog Sanctuary. It caters to each dog in the care. Unlike other shelters, they work with around 30 dogs max to ensure each senior dog is in a safe environment where they can live out their rest of our lives, especially when there's challenges to um, senior care with dogs, the high medical costs with efficient use of donations and peer expectations by volunteers. They could provide care, and especially the senior dogs that need extra care. Um, this can show that Golden Years provides the compassion, transparency, usefulness, and allows even small organizations to make a lasting impact on vulnerable senior dogs. Smart framework, specifically in Best Friends Animal Society, to address the influx of dogs. They should collaborate with local animal welfare organizations and throughout in the city to maintain consistent communication. How the organization help develop programs to deal with the new inflection of intake dogs, especially when this new no kill policy is in the city. There should be constantly communication within the small organizations and large organizations to make sure, including the city's shelter, to make sure that there's a home for each dog or each animal that needs a home. And another thing they could do is establish a monthly health um, check for all dogs, especially mental health, to make sure that the staff and volunteers know what to expect of the needs of dogs, especially their mental health could be very drastically changed in these tight environments. Smart framework for golden years is to by increasing volunteer participation. There needs to be a promotion through social media, basically in their large accounts that have a lot of followers, your Instagram and Facebook that can boost viewership and volunteer opportunities, providing with information on what they could do. They could expect 10 new regular volunteer workers within 3 months. With constant updates on that, they could expect to see those large changes, especially quicker, quicker, quicker. By implementing quarterly meetings and constant communication, especially with the board, can be strengthened and the organization can grow, especially with what they lacked from the founder's perspective, is that the board needs to be pushed into what she needs, and while providing constant meetings, they could grow. Wrapping it up with the conclusion, speaking with staff from both organizations show me that the concepts we see in class, like volunteer management, community engagement, planning, communication, are vital in practice. Their experiences demonstrate that the structured tourism strategies are key to nonprofit success, especially as a big organization. Best Friends provides very transparency with what they do as an organization.